sana na dito face alwatu da ma kato na fisura sa awana.
Good evening, scholars. I'm just waiting for the speaker to join in. Scholars, I'm just waiting for Professor Priyanka to join in. Hi, Priyanka ma'am. A very good evening.
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening, Latika ma'am.
Hi.
Is my video on? Like, is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible. Just give me a minute.
Okay.
We'll just start the slide for you. First of all, thank you for accepting my invitation, ma'am, in your busy schedule.
It's my pleasure to join the session.
Okay, ma'am. I've already shared. I'll just welcome you and then you're most welcome to start.
Sure.
I'm just waiting for a few scholars to join in because
No worries. We can join.
just wait
We can just wait for them for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Till then, I'll just say a warm welcome to you, Priyanka ma'am, and we are really happy to have you share your experience with us on unlocking the power of stakeholder management in enterprise sales. Your insight definitely is undoubtedly helpful as it navigates the complexity of enterprise sales and builds strong relationship with the stakeholder. We are definitely looking forward for your session where you'll guide us on identifying the key stakeholders, developing tailored engagement strategies, and even driving sales success. Thank you, ma'am, for taking time to share your knowledge with us. We welcome you to start your session.
Great. So should we begin?
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Sure. So good evening, everyone. Greetings to everyone who has joined in the session. Today, I'll be taking you through my personal journey and my personal learnings that I have, learned over the past 14 plus years of experience in an out and out sales field. And what did I learn through various organizations, various industries that I've worked with. I had the fortune of working with various different industries, right from insurance company, then a food tech company, then a kind of recruitment solutions based company, and then now finally moving into a healthcare sector organization. Most of these organizations have been monopoly or kind of those major majority majority stake companies in their respective industries. So I've had the fortune of looking at the best practices being followed over there, and what exactly are the kind of SOPs that are followed for the sales process, wherein when you're creating a pipeline, when you are opening up a call, the cold callings, and then getting the client on board, and what are the steps in between. How do you better navigate this kind of a hierarchy of different people in the organizations that you are reaching out to and within your organization. I'll be sharing that in this session with you today. Latika ma'am, if you could just go on to the next slide. Yes. So, looking at stakeholder management, B2B sales environment is fairly competitive. It is complex. It is difficult. You need to reach out to the right people, and you need to create a kind of a tonality and messaging which is relevant and authentic to the people that you are reaching out to. So when you are looking at a kind of a standard traditional organizational structure, it will always have like a kind of a CEO, founder, or a director. Below them, there will be functional heads like the CBOs, like the chief business officers, the CFOs, and the various other functional heads who, as like as a basis the company that industry they are falling under. And of course, there will be supervisory teams under this, managed by the the managers and the team members under it. So when you are selling a product, it also depends on what is the value that you're delivering to your client. First and foremost, identifying the right people at any organization starts at a much later stage. Me being like a sales head, corporate sales head, I always ask my team in first and foremost to understand and learn the product thoroughly. So what you are selling to a client, first and foremost, you need to understand, you need to know it as like the back of your hand. You should be convinced with what you are trying to sell to the client, and then only you will be able to effectively pitch your story or kind of anecdote to the client so that they are in a receptive mode to listening to you. So this is something that I always tell my reportees and team members, that you understand the entire nuances of the product that you are, or the solution that you are selling. The person should also, who's sitting across the table from you, why should they listen to you? So that is when you put yourself in their position, and you also understand that what questions that might arise in their mind, what kind of objections they might have, why should they consider your product? If they're using a competitor product, then what is your product or solution offering them as compared better compared to the what the competitor is offering them? So this is something that all of these questions we should be encouraged and should be discussed openly when you are having a client meeting. So all of this will happen only when you educate your team, you make them understand what is the product, and you help them understand that what kind of objections that can come in your way, and then how you can break down those objections and explain it to the clients, how to well manage and resolve those queries. Coming back to stakeholder management. See, first and foremost, you need to understand who are the stakeholders whom you'll be dealing with. Latika ma'am, if you can just change the slide bit quickly for the next one. And yes, so as as per my 14 years of experience, what I have understood is like any organization will have these basic, broadly speaking, these will be the stakeholders that you will be dealing with. And that is how you decide, how do you spend how much time, which people that you avoid in the entire decision making process, which people that you reach out on a consistent basis, which people that you keep looped in at all times, so that they are privy to the conversation or communication that is happening. So first and foremost, we'll start with the gatekeeper. Now this entire identifying the stakeholder role management is like basically understanding the pain points, the objectives, and the motivations of all these people. Now all of these stakeholders that you're looking on your screen, like the gatekeeper, the influencer, the decision maker, the end user, and the blocker, these are different personas of people at the client level who you will be dealing with. Now let's say I am selling a high value enterprise sales product to a client. My end user is a person who has who's an IT sales person, and he'll be using my product on the field, and he'll be generating revenue using my software product. But the thing is, the decision maker is like the chief information officer of that organization. How do I kind of navigate between this chief information officer and the sales engineer who will be using my product? So the gate, this is somewhere that you first and foremost need to understand that what is your product tailored to which person in the organization. Now, who will be the first person, who will be the end user, the technical buyer, or who can be like the influencer, or who can be somebody who will completely block your sale to, or who will not allow you to further get further in the discussions. So the gatekeeper is one of those people. Now, in a standard sales process, as we always see, that we have been following traditionally, we start with a cold sales call, or a cold call to any of the board line numbers or the receptionist of any organization, and then we try to request them to connect to the right people. And so most of the times these people are very low interest level people. They do not have much skin in the game. They do not understand what exactly is the kind of utility of the solution that you are trying to pitch to the client. So they will try to they'll try to not they'll try to block the conversation. They will not connect you with the right people, and then that will basically become a stalemate. You will not be able to proceed further with the conversation. So what you do in these kind of cases, a gatekeeper is somebody that with a low interest level and low authority. We completely avoid this person at all costs, because it will completely there is a sales cycle that we follow, and let's say for a high enterprise level solution product, the sales cycle is can range anywhere from few weeks to few months till the end, the entire sales happens. So you need to allocate your time and energy and focus very effectively to the right people. So the gatekeeper is to be avoided at all times, because he has no authority and he has no interest in the product that you are pitching to the client. Then comes the influencer. Now, let's say, thanks to that, the internet medium that we are using currently, we are having this call through like a Zoom session, right? And we have a lot of information around us that which tells us that, let's say I want to pitch a product to a certain client, and I come across these people who keep on posting a lot of these like posts on online social media sites, professional websites, these kind of crowdsourcing platforms like Reddit, Quorum, and they're talking about certain challenges that they're facing within their businesses, which is affecting their top line or their business revenues. Now, I understand this is already a pain point for this person, and he's like very vociferously talking about these pain points. And I already have a solution to this. So what do I do is I connect with this influencer. I try to get the contacts for this. We have ample amount of resources available at our kind of like at the tips of our hand. Like we have LinkedIn, we have Lucia, wherein we can directly source numbers and like reach out to these people. But the thing is, reaching out and having the right message and tonality of the message, how do you communicate with that person, is of crucial importance. So let's say an influencer will be somewhere in the person with have a high authority level, but again like with a moderate to low interest levels. uh, uh, Latika ma'am, if you could just quickly go to the next slide, I just want to show them the grid. Now this is this is a grid that we kind of formulated in the past few years, which shows your interest versus authority, and authority being on the horizontal axis and interest being on the on the vertical axis. What we normally do in this case is that we map out these people, the stakeholders, across the grids of this table, wherein with low interest and low authority, somebody like a gatekeeper will be placed. Then somebody with high authority and low interest, somebody like an influencer or a coach, that we also call. Now, these influencers, just to tell you, give you a little bit more information into their persona. Influencers are nothing but people who are privy to the decision makers or the highest people hierarchy in the organization. They always the founders and the managing directors or any kind of CEO of the organization will not mostly not take any decision in a silo. They have a trusted team around there which helps them come to some conclusions. They give their insights, they give their kind of perspectives around what exactly is going on in the company, what are the kind of different problems or challenges that they might be facing, what kind of solutions that they might require for a certain project to increase their revenue cycles. What is let's say a certain project is being delayed or being kind of how can we improve it further. So the CEO always acts with this team of influencers and the kind of coaches that he relies on heavily in order to create those or take those final decisions. So the influencers are those important people that you need to engage with. Now, when I said that you need to completely avoid the gatekeepers, then comes the influencer. You can either reach out to the influencers, or in certain companies you can either reach out directly to the decision makers. Now, decision makers, if you notice in this grid, these are high authority and high interest level people. But the difference between an influencer and a decision maker will be a completely a kind of a sea change in terms of how do you communicate to them. Now, when I'm talking to a decision maker, let's say for an example, I'm talking to a CEO of an organization. That person will not have kind of attention span of more than 30 minutes. They have those timelines defined for them, that wherein they expose themselves to any new discussion points. and they will be completely upfront with you about this. And when you get a kind of a time with this kind of a person, it is very important that you convey your message, you convey the context and the intent of reaching out to them, and why you have actually reached out to them directly rather than somebody else from their team. So that is the reason, in case if you're not confident in terms of reaching out to the decision maker directly, and which comes eventually, when I started out in my sales career, I was not confident in terms of reaching out to the decision makers or the senior level people in any organization directly. But over the years, after gathering enough experience, after understanding the nuances, how to communicate to them, how in terms of what person is motivated by what how to create a win-win scenario for them, what are their pain points or challenges, or how this product or solution will help them in terms of solving their problem. That's when I curated an approach wherein it was more about, when you think about selling, you think about a person is always talking, right? It is not about sales. In fact, selling is completely opposite to that. It is about more about active listening. It is about reading between the lines. It is about understanding their pain points, listening to them, and understanding what exactly are what do they require, and then you customize your solution as per their requirement. Um, since the time I have started my sales journey, and over the last few years, we have come across these fancy terminologies being used that people nowadays prefer consultative selling professionals. They want somebody who's able to do value selling. Now, what do we mean by value selling or consultative selling approach? This is exactly what people are looking for, or organizations are looking at, in terms of they want somebody who can create a value in a conversation, instead of being come across as a pushy salesperson. We on a daily basis, we get a lot of calls, spam calls, junk calls, from a lot of credit card companies, real estate companies. So this is somewhere like we also mark the difference, right? We just hung up on these calls within a few seconds. So when somebody is reaching out to a decision maker, or let's say a senior hierarchy person, and then you just make it a very kind of a vague call in terms of not setting the context clear, not taking the permission of the person to talk to them for a couple of minutes, and not creating a kind of a right tonality, the message or the tonality of your voice is not clear, and not being coming across as humble enough, can create a lot of problems in terms of getting your message further, to the right person. So that is the reason I suggested, we'll start with first engaging with the influencer. Now, what happens when you align the message to an influencer is basically, first and foremost, when I'm talking to an influencer, my messaging and tonality and everything will, the context will change. I will tell them that, sir, we have this solution, and it's something that we have seen repeatedly on a lot of your social media professional posts, that you are increasingly dealing with these challenges, and this is our product solutions. And I will not talk about features or specifications in the first conversation. I will tell them that how it will benefit them personally, how it will make their case clear, or their case better in front of their senior or hierarchies or their decision makers. Now, once you create a hook in for the person who's listening to you, then only he is more receptive in terms of listening to you further. If you are not creating or customizing that message as per the kind of what he wants to listen to you, the person, the entire conversation is lost, the entire message is lost in that the due course. So you need to customize the conversation as per the what exactly is the personality of the person, what is the seniority level of the person, and what exactly is the context that you might this person will be able to understand if I pitch this product or customize my solution as per his understanding. So this is where the influencer will listen to you. He may not be the right person to take you through this entire sales cycle, but what after he's on board, at least let's say 30 to 40% he's convinced with what you are saying, he will be let's say his next sentence to use, that I may not be the right person for this, but I feel that there is certain team which is working on the solution, and why don't I connect you with those people? So this is somewhere this is your kind of a foot inside the door, which you needed, which was not being provided through the gatekeeper. So once you get your foot inside the door, This might be an end user who might be using the product on a daily basis. Now, the end user again is like not the right person for you to sell your product to. Now understand, so even though the end user is somebody who might be using your tool on a daily basis, they have like a lot of other options in their kitty. They might be using a competitor product. They might be just coming and using whatever present legacy solutions that the company has given them, and they might be okay with it. Their interest levels are low. They are not high authority people. So this is like with them, it is something like you have to create a kind of a stronger use case with them. And then instead, when we were talking to the influencer, we were just talking about the benefits that this tool will be providing to the company's revenues and top line. Now, vis-a-vis when you're talking to an end user, then you will be directly talking about the product specifications, the features, the UI, UX, the interface, how easier it is to what solution that they're currently using. Now, when you are talking to the end user, you should also do a lot of research. Now, in fact, talking to any of these stakeholders, you need to do your research in within like what the organization is all about. Uh, are they what kind of line of business are they into? Like you should always, especially when you are like reaching out to senior stakeholders like the influencer or a decision maker in the organization, you should always look at the latest media pieces, the news pieces that the company has been covered in. And we should always try to subtly get this as a part of your conversation. You should slip that into your conversation, that first and foremost and this has personally helped me a lot. I was talking to one of the co-founders of this organization, and there was a certain news media piece which had come in like just a day before, and I just mentioned that let me just first and foremost congratulate you for this award that you have received, and it's amazing that within such a short span of time you have been able to capitalize the market, and your product is doing really well. And that was something that that person was also taken aback, this person has done the homework, and it's she's not just coming and trying to pitch me the product. She's like actually she knows and she understands what my business is all about. And not just that, I just didn't know that what the business was all about. I also gave them a market competitor analysis. And the thing is, very smartly, I also slipped in how my tool helped that competitor get more leverage in the market, and gather more business and revenue and increase their profit margins. So this is something that you need to smartly understand, that how do you play in different aspects of the company, like what the company is dealing with, the news pieces, their awards and recognitions, what that that individual might be if there's a senior person, if they have been kind of been rewarded with any recognition, major recognition in the recent past. How can you play into the conversation? How can you then subtly bring in your product instead of pitching your product very aggressively? How can you smartly put in the product that okay, your competitor, do you know your competitor was also using the same tool which you are currently using, but once they started using our tool, that their productivity levels have gone by twice x, their turnaround times have reduced by 60%, 50%. So that is when an influencer or the decision makers have their ears open and they're listening to you receptively. The end user vis-a-vis will be only the person who will be listening to your product demo. They will be looking at the presentation and everything, but they will not be receptive to the overall or the entire macro aspects of your product, which a decision maker or the influencer will appreciate. Now, I would suggest whenever you're reaching out to an an end user, it's better to keep the decision maker also in copied in all the conversations, and you have to keep the decision maker also privy. Now, why does this work? Or because even I have learned it a difficult way. In one of the product pitches, I was running it, and I was very passionate, early stages of my career, and I really wanted to get in this marquee client on board. And I just reached out to the end users, and I started pitching in them the product, the features and everything, and they were interested in everything. We give them a product demo, and after the product demo, they just completely went mute. And what happened was they were not at all responsive to us. Multiple people from our team reached out to them, like, trying to restart the conversation, reignite the conversation, but it wasn't like going anywhere. As I said, end users, um, see, I've also like, sold products wherein like, the competitor product was a monopoly product. And basis that my product was like, relatively very new in the market. And also along with that, just to add to my misery, my product was premium, like, it was charged at a premium level. So the client always used to ask me, like, the like competitor product is much better than yours. We have never heard about your product, and on the top of that, you're charging us more for this product. Like, why should we consider your product? So in these kind of a case scenarios, the end user always have the natural proclivity to go back to the standard or the basic or the current existing solution. So that is why the end user will be like, "Ha, product is looking good, product is looking effective." But the thing is, let me, like, my current solution is working like, very well for me. I need not consider this product. And why should I suggest this to the senior? He will be asking me that why you bringing up such an expensive solution to me. So for whatever reasons, the end user will like kill the conversation for you, will kill the entire discussion for you. Your time, your focus, your energy that you have put into like, creating this presentation, giving these demos, doing the follow-ups, and then the disappointment that comes along after that, like, that this person has not been responsive after that, that will unnecessarily create like a lot of like, kind of undue pressure on you. So that is the reason you get involved, get the decision maker involved in the earlier discussions. Now, how to go about doing this? As I told you, the end users will be somebody that who will be relayed only the product specifications and the features. That's it. You are not relaying them the macro level of like how the business will improve, how the revenue will improve, how will the turnaround time improve. You're not relaying that to them. You're just telling them that this is the product, this will be the features, and this is how you'll use it. Now, the decision maker, once you try to reach out to them, the decision maker has only a set amount of time. First and foremost, when you are reaching out to a person at that level, which might be a CXO, a founder of a company, a director of a company, how do you start a conversation? First and foremost, you have to sincerely and like, strictly ask them for the time, if they have the time to talk to you or like, converse with you. Post you take that permission, like, you then start with the context of like, why did you call them for that specific at that specific time, or why have you like, started this conversation? Once you set a context, you also need to back it off with a certain data or testimonial of maybe a peer or a competitor company who's already using your product. Sir, like I noticed, like just to give you an example, and this I've already used, like we used to always go. So let's say I'm approaching an FMCG company. I would always give them a testimonial from a competitor, major competitor brand from FMCG sector only. I wouldn't give them a like, testimonial or a backup from like an IT company or from or a different pharma company or any other like, but the thing is the person will be more receptive to understanding if I'm giving them from the peer group or from the like, kind of a same industry group. It's better if you can quote the names over there, of course, with the approval or the permission of the person that you've taken the like, testimonial from. So you can give them that. So this was a solution that we offered to them as well. It has improved their revenue margins. It has like, first previously they used to run this project from like, within a duration of 10 to 12 months using our like, kind of solution. Now it has reduced to 6 to 7 months, and they can run two projects within the same annual cycle. So once you back up, a decision maker is a person who like relies on data. He relies on numbers. So once you present them with like, hard data facts and like, testimonials along with that, then the person is more receptive. Then 40 to 50% your job is done over there. Then they are more receptive in terms of like, okay, this sounds interesting. Why don't you reach out to so and so person from my team? I'll ask them to take a demo from you, and then you can take it further. Now understand what has happened. Now, previously, when I tried to reach out to the end users in silo, in separation, uh, I gave them a demo, and like, afterwards, nobody had any chance of like, following up with them. Even if they followed up, they had to reach out to the decision maker, and my cycle entirely like got lengthy and delayed. But when I am getting simultaneously engaging with the decision maker along with the end users, what is happening is first and foremost, it's a top down approach. Now, the decision maker is obligating the team members to use and try out the new product or the new solution that you're trying to pitch to them. The end user now is more kind of obligated, because the senior person has stipulated them to use the product and try out the product, and now they will be more receptive in terms of looking at the specification, looking at the features properly, and conveying their kind of a genuine feedback to their seniors or the decision makers in a genuine format. So once this is a top down approach that is being followed, the decision maker is also kept in the loop. The team members will take the presentation or the demo. You can give them a trial. You can also make it like an attractive deal for them in terms of making them explain that, let me give you like a limited period trial. I understand this is a new solution for you. You might be skeptical about it. And this kind of confidence or conviction only comes when you understand your product really well. If you're confident about your product, the features that it provides, and the kind of it will actually add value to the company's revenue cycles, then only you'll be able to say it with a conviction. Now, if you're saying it with a half, kind of approach that so you can purchase it, or if you're using the competition, it's okay, you can we'll try again next year, or like whenever is the your budget cycles approved. If you are not confident in terms of creating a kind of a ready or like effective communication to the right stakeholders, then your job is not well done. So when the decision maker is listening to you, he wants hard facts backed with data as well as testimonials. When the end user is listening to you, they want to understand if this tool is useful for me in my day-to-day daily task. So, and an influencer is somebody that who will be always feel like that to give them importance whenever you are trying to close the deal. So now how the next point that I'll be covering is what is the frequency that you deal with all these stakeholders. Like a decision maker is once your demo, your product call, your presentation has been done to the end users. End users are somebody that you will have to kind of engage on a daily basis. You'll have to, let's say you have run a trial for them for a few days, for a week's time, then you'll have to monitor their trial. Are they using the tool or not? Are they using the solution or not? You have to give them a training first so that they use the tool more effectively as per the right features and functionalities. So these are the the junior level people who will be using the tool. Now, as comes to the influencer has already introduced you to the decision maker or the end user. Now, influencer needs to be kept in the loop that, sir, it has been really kind of you to, you need to acknowledge them, you need to drop a mail to them, post your conversation with them, so that in that follow-up mail, they will be introducing you to the right stakeholder or the end user. And that is how you keep them in loop or keep them updated about each and every conversation that is happening within post they introduce you within their teams. Then the decision makers comes into the picture when they have already asked their team to reach out to you and engage with you in terms of understanding this product solution. Now the decision maker cannot be reached out frequently on a daily basis. Try to understand the psyche of this person. This is a high authority, high interest level person, but this person will give you the final sign off. The final sign off will come after his team gives them like a big thumbs up, like once he they understand the product. You have given a very good product demo to them. They have gone through the trial, they have used the trial. You have in fact helped them in terms of closing certain they came across certain challenges which they immediately saw a resolution using your tool. That is when your end user will be on board. Then you can get the influencer on board and you can tell them that we have already run the trial very successfully. Why don't you internally collaborate with your team and understand how can we take this further? Then comes the proposal stage. The proposal stage is very crucial in terms of understanding what is the price point of the company, what are the budget cycles of the company. Not every company will be purchasing all the tools or all the kind of solutions at any given point of the time of the year. Coming from kind of a sales background wherein I've worked across industries, different products will have different sales cycles. And especially where a product, when you have to, the client has to give you an upfront payment before you start the services. Let's say it's a license purchase that they have purchased from you, and there are certain sales cycle, and the companies will purchase only during those sales cycles once the budgets are approved from the the decision maker. Or and Latika ma'am, if you can just go back to the previous slide once more. So this, if you see, look at the last customer persona over here, that is the blocker. Now we have spoken about the decision maker, we've spoken about the influencer, we have spoken about the end user, the gatekeeper. Now, who is the blocker? Now, after running through the entire product demo, the kind of processes and the trials and everything, you have let's say you have shared the proposal also with the team. Now, what happens is, especially at enterprise level organizations, there are these procurement teams, there are these vendor management teams, like who are the hawks who literally save the money. They do not allocate budgets that easily to any new projects or any new solution that comes into being pitched by their team. So these people, they're innate, like the KRA of their their key responsibilities, that they will bypass any new expense that is coming their way. They will try to avoid any new expense, and they will try to turn away any new project which is coming their way, unless and until, of course, it is being very highly advocated by the team members. And even once that is being advocated by the, let's say, the end user, then the influencer, then the decision maker also, the decision maker may or may not be the economic buyer. So the blocker over here is essentially the economic buyer or the procurement head or the purchase head of of the company, who basically finally, like after the decision maker, who may will give you a yes or no answer. Let's say he gives you a yes answer, the decision maker. Now this the case will eventually go to the purchase head, like who may be the blocker. And trust me, I have come across many organizations where we have got a go ahead from a lot of these decision makers, the CXO level person, like they love the product. And then the purchase head has been our major gatekeeper, if I may say so, or the blocker in this case. And they were like, why do we need this product? You tell us, then they start arguing with you. You have to negotiate with them. What is the value? You are a completely new player in the market. Why don't you give us complimentary for this year? We will pay for this product from next year onwards. Don't worry about it. We will ask our other competitors also to use your tool, and from next year onwards you will get a lot of deals. So this is something that they will try to tell you, and try to turn you away, and not pay for the services that you have. And you can now understand, you have put in so much process. You started with a cold call, you set up meeting with the right people, you gave the product demo, you made the presentations, you have been keeping the influencers and the decision makers, everybody updated. You were following up with the end users and always keeping them under the loop, that if they had any queries or any questions, you were solving them, resolving them. And then suddenly, when it comes to the purchase head or the purchase person, and if he's not approving your product, it becomes a highly frustrating kind of that time a decision, and you feel really bad about it. So when you are dealing with a person like that, it's not the case where you need to get frustrated or you need to lose hope over there. Now, as I said earlier, all of these personas will have different motivations. Now, you need to understand this person is not a negative person or not a bad person, per se. It's just that his job is to conserve the money that has been allocated or the budgeted to him. He is supposed to understand, or very pragmatically allocate funds for new projects or new solutions that the company is getting to him. So because at the end of the day, he will be questioned about if he's let's say purchasing something and it's a huge premium amount, he will be questioned next year by the audit teams, that why did you purchase a new product when there was already a solution that the team was already using. So this is somewhere that the purchase hits or his work or his job title itself is that he needs to control the expenses of the client, of his organization. So how do you play to his motivations now? How do you now change the story around and tell that sir, this is something that we have already worked around with your team. We understand that where you're coming from. How do you basically modulate or customize your conversation so that this person comes on board? Let's say you can include a certain products at a certain value, and then once you anticipate that this person is going to negotiate with you or try to bring the price further down, you can add certain value add features or products or value add solutions, so that this person feels that he's getting the bang for his buck. basically he's getting value for whatever he's spending. So you anticipate that. You also, like, and this happens only once either you have industry insights, that you have spoken to certain people, and you have got some intelligence from other people, that this person from this organization, the purchase head, is like, very tough person to crack. You need to, like, give them a lot of freebies or a lot of complimentary services to get them on board. So if you have those insights, and being a salesperson, your networking is, that's where it is coming from, right? So you understand the persona, you understand the personality of this person, and then you customize as per what exactly he wants. And then you like, pitch it to them ki, sir, let me just, like, add in a few more complimentary benefits along with this. This we have never added to your, in fact, your competitor also. And then you play around with the kind of, like, see, we are dealing with, like, humans at the end of the day. Sales, I may not call it a manipulative art, but it's definitely something that you appease to certain people and their personalities, personas, as per what exactly are their motivations. And everybody likes to be acknowledged, everybody loves to be like, recognized for what the job they're doing. So you need to recognize them as well, that so you are, like, doing a really like, you are not giving me any. So in fact, I still remember one of the meetings. So it was a huge like, it's a huge MNC company here in India, and this person was, like, not at all budging. And somewhere I realized that he wants to purchase the product, but it's just that he's just trying to give me, he's just giving me a tough time, just to he wants to see my breaking point. So at that like, after third or fourth meeting that I had with, like, in fourth meeting, I realized that let me just keep quiet and not, like, tell him or argue with him at all. I just kept quiet, and I just started, like, complimenting him. I just told him, sir, you are doing an amazing job in, like, in terms of, like, what your company, this company definitely has selected the right person for this role. You are not at all giving me any leeway or any, like, kind of margin to go from here to there. And you want to save every money, like, every, like, rupee that you will be spending on this project. So I really appreciate what you are doing. And this is something really wonderful. I've never come across, like, a professional like you, especially at your level. And that person was completely taken aback, like, he was completely, like, startled that, okay, she's not like, arguing with me, she's actually appreciating me. And then his entire, like, that entire wall of, like, like, his strong front that he was putting across to me, that completely broke down. And he was like, Acha, chalo, let's just close this deal. You tell me, like, what is the best price that you can work upon. And I had already fixed up the like, the last like, the lowest threshold that I could offer to this client. And I told him that, and in fact, I, like, just elevated 10% more than that, and I quoted to him, and he actually closed it at that 10%, like, elevated level. And this is somewhere, like, you appease to the people, you understand, like, what motivates them, like, what kind of a personality they are. And you, like, you then you tend to, like, kind of customize your message, and like, appreciate them for what they are. So these are the blockers and different. Latika ma'am, if you can just go back to the next slide again.
Priyanka ma'am, if you allow me, can I please take a screenshot of the attendance and then you continue?
Sure, sure.
1 minute, I'll just get back to this. Scholars, if you can please put your video on. Priyanka ma'am, we're thoroughly enjoying your session.
I'm glad.
Thoroughly enjoying. There's still someone to come in. Ma'am, if you can please give us a cute smile so I can click a picture. Thank you, ma'am. You can continue. I'll just share the screen. 1 minute.
Right.
Yeah. Ma'am, is this the
So
screen you put?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, this is the screen. So these are, we have already discussed the grids, like, as or the matrix that we have spoken about, like the like, interest versus authority. Now, what can be, like, the most crucial stakeholder that you can think about? If I may, like, kind of rhetorically ask you this question. when you're dealing with any organization, like if you do not have any control or any kind of connections within your internal organization that you're working with, this entire external stakeholder management is completely futile and useless. Just to tell you very honestly. So over the years, I have grown in my career. I have been promoted in my career, many times, because I used to like very not deliberately, but I used to instinctively, I used to be very helpful for my team members who are not in the same geographical location. If they came to my location and they wanted some help, I used to proactively help them out. So once you create these kind of relationships within your organization, those people also remember you, that this person has always been helpful for us. Priyanka has always been helpful to us. So once you create these kind of connects, not just within your immediate team members, but within your the team, the colleagues who might be sitting out of different functional kind of operations, and they you never know. Like, so for example, for a salesperson, of course you need a lot of support from your marketing team. You need collaterals, you need contents which needs to be given out to the client, and which which helps them in terms of getting them kind of communication sent out to them in an effective way. You need the operation support, you need like the finance support, you need the legal support of taxation team, like all of these team support. And you being an effective salesperson, you should also be able to sell yourself within your organization internally. Internal stakeholder management is extremely important, if not more important than what stakeholders that we saw on the screen right now. So your internal stakeholders, be it your immediate colleagues, your different functional team members, uh, can help you, in giving you some, very, surprising insights, some surprising intelligent points about, that, oh, do you know, I've dealt with this client previously for some other project. You should avoid this person, or you should avoid this, or you should do this in a certain way, because they kind of prefer it, the things conveyed in such a way. These small nuances, these small things matter a lot, when you are dealing with clients. So if you have that internal connection, or you have internal kind of camaraderie within your team members, within your internal organization at various levels, people know you within the organization. So let's say there is a I've had the good fortune of people not just at my peer level, but my seniors also knowing me very well. Because the thing is, I used to reach out to them regularly for any support or guidance. And if any project used to go well, then I used to give them also appreciation. I used to thank them during my any award or any recognition I used to receive. So they used to remember me, that in spite of not being from their team, I always think about them whenever I'm receiving any award or recognition. So this is something that is very extremely crucial. End users, buyers, gatekeepers, and decision makers, of course, they will always be there. But your internal team is your internal family. You will have to bank on them. You will have to go back to them time and again, in terms of understanding, in terms of support, in terms of getting more kind of intelligence or insights about what you're dealing with or what the market is like. So this is where all the stakeholders that we spoke about. And Latika ma'am, if I look at it, we have 10 minutes left. So do you want me to keep going, or do you want us to take questions?
Ma'am, if you can take few questions from the scholars, it would be of great help.
Right. I'll just quickly run through this
Yeah.
last slide in terms of understanding and telling you briefly what exactly we have discussed. So, you as I told you earlier, in terms of selling, it is very important when you are you're asking the right questions to people. Like, in fact, I always tell my team members, I always tell my reportees, don't be the person who talks the most in a meeting. In fact, you should be the person who's actively listening. What do I mean by actively listening? Is something that you ask them the questions and you let them converse. You should just read between the lines. What are the pain points? What are the challenge points? What are the needs and the wants of a particular client? Now, why is the client in a double quotes over here? Client is somewhere, anywhere that can be like an end user, a decision maker, the stakeholders, that the type of stakeholders that we spoke about. Now, the needs and the wants of a decision maker will be very different from an end user. Like a decision maker looks at things at a macro level. Now the end user looks at the things at a very micro level, because they are using the product on a very kind of a regular basis. So you need to understand what are the needs and wants of each of these clients, and customize the solution basis and customize your messaging also as per their requirements. Then, of course, I've covered this customizing solution as per their need and communicating with them accordingly. This is like a very overlooked part of our sales process, communicating over mails, messages, meetings, your conduct, your decorum that you follow during meetings and demos and presentations, closing a call, asking the right questions, being assertive. All these things are very, very important. When you're sending out a mailer, please don't make it a chat GPT mail. People sense the inauthenticity of your communication very easily. Sales is like a kind of human to human connection, kind of a job role, wherein people can very easily sense if you are inauthentic and you are not being your real self. So I've I've had my team members from the Gen Z who use Chat GPT very widely. And my client just gives me a call and they're like, your team member has sent me this mail and this sounds like a literally a draft copied from a Chat GPT prompt. And I had to tell my team member that not to do that, because as I said, people can sense the inauthenticity of the message very easily. Demos also, how do you present the demos? How do you start a demo? How do you keep the client engaged? Is this like a one-way street wherein you are just talking and you're not letting the other person engage? How are you keeping the interaction open? Are you keeping them so what I normally do during these kind of demo meetings is that it can get very boring for another person to keep on listening for one person talk for continuously for an hour. I'm sorry, I've done that myself in the last 1 hour, but this is not a demo, but more of a session. But in a demo meeting, it's I keep them presentations very fairly interactive. So what do I do is I'll run them through some features and then some new kind of product specifications that we might be offering. And I quickly if I see somebody is not losing interest or somebody sitting in the behind and not paying attention, I'll just ask them question so what do you think about this product feature? Do you think the current product that you're using or the current tool that you're using giving you the same solution? And the rest of the team completely wakes up. Suddenly they wake up and they're listening to you more intently. So that is something that you need to keep the entire discussion very interactive, very open-ended, very playful, so that they don't feel burdened by too much information or too much kind of being relayed to them on a one-way street. So that is something. And closing a conversation or closing a demo meeting or a presentation. How do we do that? When you are engaging with each stakeholder, how do we close a conversation or a whole so first and foremost, you acknowledge them for their attention and the kind of time that they spent with you, the kind of questions. And I love if it's an interactive session, I always genuinely thank them that thanks for making this interactive and asking so many questions. In fact, I encourage them asking me questions, as many questions as possible. And once that entire cycle is questions have been asked and everything, I ask them what do you think, if this tool will solve all your problems, solve all the product solutions that you're looking for. And if they give me if I tentatively get a 70 to 80% affirmative yes, I quickly float a Google spreadsheet to them, or a physical spreadsheet to them, and I just take a quick feedback from them. Now, as a human psyche, you're always you always like to give a critical feedback first. But at the end of that entire the form, I always slip in a positive feedback session also. What did you like about my presentation, or what did you like about the session? Now, person who has already vented out in the critical feedback section will always feel obligated ki, let me just say something good also about what this entire presentation was all about. So they write something good. Now, what is the reason of doing this? This is not for vanity's sake. This is not for your personal ego boost or something. This is somewhere that you're gathering evidence. You have done the work, you have made the presentation, you have given the demo. You need an evidence to take it to a decision maker or influencer. Ki, see, I have done the work that you have asked me to do. Now, this is the feedback that I've got from the end user. And now you need to, kind of value, you need to evaluate my product very seriously. So that is the reason you take the feedback and you close the call by asking them that when should I follow up with you for this rest of for the following for the communication, or for sending you the proposal, or what should be the further steps. Now if this person says that within a week or so, then you can follow up accordingly. But if you keep the conversation open ended, that you just feel good about yourself, that the demo was done very well, the presentation went very well, but you have not asked them any genuine questions, it will be lost in space. So you need to ask them, when should I follow up, when should I get back to you, would this be a good day, like next week will be a good day, or so, something like
Priyanka
that.
ma'am, if you
Then
allow me to intrude, I'm really sorry, but if you can please take some questions, it's barely 4 minutes for.
sure.
I'm sorry.
You already have the other pointers available on your screen. We'll take the questions now.
Anyone who like to take the questions, ask any questions? Yes, Jobby sir, to you.
Yes, yeah, Professor Priyanka, thank you so much for this invaluable experience that you have shared. I just wanted to comment on this strategic tool, because I remember several years ago, right? I was part of a team that we used this strategic tool for a political
Right,
campaign. It was not a sales thing, but a political campaign, and it was quite effective. But now, considering the significance of social media, how it has dramatically changed the
correct,
political landscape today, where we're beginning to see the youth, right, Gen Z, playing, huge interest, right, in
right,
the political landscape, right. So now they're driving this; they have so much influence. So when I was listening to you, I was really thinking about doctors research question training that we had recently, and I started asking myself. I said, this would be an interesting research question, because this tool, my view, I don't know what your view is, but I think influence and authority shifts quickly in today's age, right? From what I can see in social media, and there is subjectivity in judging someone's authority. So using the tool today and 15 years ago when I used it, right, in a political campaign, I'm beginning to think that it's a case for one to study.
right. Where's what exactly you want to ask me?
So yeah, so my question is, it
Hmm,
looks, when we use it, right, it looks quite static, right? So there
right,
is, we didn't notice subjectivity at the time, right? So we classify, different people and say that, okay, so these are low authority,
right,
high interest, right? But
right,
today, where we classify those people today, if I was to do it, because of
right,
social media and what I have seen with the Gen Z, right? If you're
right,
watching the news, for example, in Kenya, right? In Kenya today, the Gen Zs, the youth, they are really playing high interest in politics, right? So before, when we used it, the youth were not classified under low authority, high interest, and that to me at the time was subjective. But today, because of social media, it has changed, right? So it's a very
Jobby
useful
sir,
tool, but
allow
I
me to
think,
intrude. We get your question, Priyanka, if you can please answer him because it's time up. We just have a minute to cover up.
right. So
yeah, so it is
I
not
guess
much of a question, it's more of a comment, right?
right, right.
Just to get your views, but it's not a question.
I guess a lot of Gen Zs are getting involved in the decision making, and they're getting involved, they're entering the workforce also pretty early. So working with them is a different challenge altogether. But the thing is, if you train them well, then they know and they're smart enough to engage with the right stakeholders at the right level. So I guess yes, that's my 2 cents over here.
Thank you, Jobby sir, for asking. Priyanka ma'am, really thank you for delivering such a lovely, insightful session. And we are
It's my pleasure.
grateful for the time you took to share your knowledge. Your session was indeed very engaging, informative, and truly impactful, I would say. We are sure our participants will greatly benefit from the insight you have shared. Once again, thank you for your time and experience. We are honored to have had you shared your wisdom
Thank you so
with
much.
us. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time,
you,
Radhika
Priyanka,
ma'am.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Priyanka, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Latika.
Thank you. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you all. Thank
And
you, Doc.
thank you.
I hope you
Thank
all
you, ma'am.
enjoyed Professor Priyanka, and it was really nice.
Yeah, it was
Thank you,
really
Latika
nice.
ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
Priyanka.
you, bro. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
scholars.
bro.
Take care. Thank you, Priyanka, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Doctor. Take care.
Bye bye.
You too, Prof. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.